What's going on, everybody? Tony Rican here with another episode of Rican's Awesome Wrestling. Today we're going to be back again with Zeb Colter, Dirty Dutch Mantel, and this time he's going to be talking about Andy Kaufman. So let's go ahead and get this started and listen to the clip.
You were there when Lawler was working out the angle with Andy Kaufman.
Yes.
Okay, as one of the guys there, one of the main guys there,
yeah.
What were you thinking while all this was going on?
I wrote about this in my book. Andy Kaufman, I was a big fan of his.
Yeah.
But I found out that he was a bigger fan of wrestling than we were of him.
Right.
Because in his comedy, and Andy Kaufman wasn't funny.
Right.
He'd sit in the dressing room, and you think like, what in the hell? If you didn't know who he was, you said, what the hell is he doing in here? You know? But he had so much respect, and he was in awe of the business.
Right.
So much, he'd sit in there like a kid, like at a candy store.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm really in here, you know. Because, and he told me one day, I'm not a comedian. He says, I'm a sketch artist. And a sketch artist, by definition, is somebody who gets a response from people, which he did. So that night that Lawler put him in the hospital and they carted him out, I didn't want to know what was going on. I wanted to watch it like a fan. I stepped out there on the floor of the Mid-South. The place is jam-packed.
It was.
Standing room only. I walk out there and I look in the ring, and there's Jimmy Hart and there's Andy Kaufman. They hated him, literally hated him. And I look in the ring, and the most unlikely candidate of all time was in the middle of that ring. He's 5'8". He's 160 pounds maybe, you know, soaking wet, with some long johns on and some like little black shorts and pimple face, pasty white, and like I said, the most unqualified candidate of all to be inside of a major wrestling event.
Right.
The only thing that qualified him to be in that ring was that he sold 12,300 something tickets. And I remember he went out there, and I didn't want to know. And when Lawler did it, you know, and they actually picked him up and took him out, the people still hated him.
Yeah.
He was, for all they know, his neck was really broken, and they carted him out. They were standing on the second, you know, the overhang, throwing stuff at him. And I remember even the paramedics, they weren't protecting him. They was protecting themselves. They just beating him to death. And he had the neck brace on.
But there's always...
Because Andy Kaufman, why he loved wrestling so much was that in his comedy shows, how big is a comedy room? 200 people, maybe? But all he could do is try to make them laugh or something. He didn't even do that.
Right.
But in a wrestling ring, he could make them laugh, cry, hate him, stand up, enjoy themselves. He had the whole gamut of emotions. He couldn't make them cry, but he probably could if you messed with him. But he was very good at what he did.
But
he offered they offered it to Vince's father.
Right.
First, and they turned him down.
Right.
They said, "Oh no,
I heard that.
That's bull crap," you know, blah blah blah. Because they called Lawler, he hopped at it and said, "Hell yeah!" And you know, when Andy died, you know, Andy, I didn't know this at the time.
Yeah.
But when I saw him, I said he's pasty white. He didn't look well. He was sick.
Yeah.
We didn't know he was sick.
Right.
And when he died, and I think Lawler said this, that when he went through his belongings, he never cashed in his wrestling checks.
Really?
Didn't cash any of them.
Oh,
he still had the original check.
So there you have it, Dirty Dutch Mantel, Zeb Colter on Andy Kaufman. Now, what made Andy Kaufman get over so well in that Memphis territory is what made so many workers at that time great. They were able to feed off the crowd and give the crowd exactly what they wanted. And it doesn't mean that, you know, the crowd wanted a high spot so you gave it to them, but you built to what you wanted to give, what the crowd needed. You built them to that fever point where they were going mad, and then you gave them that one little thing to tip them over the edge. And Andy Kaufman knew that. He knew what to give the crowd. He knew how to work the crowd. He's one of the few celebrities who came from outside of wrestling who was able to do what he needed to do inside of wrestling. Granted, I mean, he was no in-ring tactician. He wasn't a great wrestler, but he knew how to work a crowd. Now, this is what I want to do. I want to talk about the worst celebrity you've ever seen in wrestling. I mean, I know a lot of your moments is going to be David Arquette with WCW. TNA has done a lot of shit with bringing people in, trying to get themselves over. WWE's had some fucking crap in their ring. So you tell me, what do you think was the worst celebrity to ever appear in a wrestling ring? I mean, shit, another one just popped off the top of my head. RoboCop. WCW brought in RoboCop, for Christ's sakes. So, I mean, you let me know, what was the shittiest thing you ever saw, celebrity-wise, in a wrestling ring? I mean, it could be at your local company that had, you know, a couple hundred people there that they paid some local celebrity. Give me your story. Tell me, let me know what's the worst of the worst that you've seen. So go ahead and throw that in the comments, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.